Hi, I'm Grace Judson, self-proclaimed proud leadership geek, and on a mission to help new managers, is that you? Become good leaders. Because here's the thing, if you want to be a good manager, you also have to know how to be a good leader. And my question here today is, are you feeling overwhelmed and even blindsided a little bit at work? Do you sometimes dread going into the office because you're not sure what you're going to have to deal with, or maybe because you know all too well what you're going to have to deal with? Well, if that describes how you're feeling at least some of the time, I'm sorry. And I get it because I've been there. But the good news is I'm going to give you some tips on building resilience, which means your ability to cope with and bounce back from those unexpected, unpleasant challenges. And I'm glad you're here because also I want to encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already, because these videos that I post every week are relevant and useful leadership advice for new managers and new supervisors. So do subscribe, hit the little notifications bell so you'll be informed when I publish that new video every week. So, okay. Being a new manager or a new supervisor is not easy, and it is full of unexpected challenges. When you're just learning how to lead and how to be a good manager, those surprise challenges can leave you feeling blindsided and bewildered and burned out. I get it. I was in management and leadership for over 16 years before I started my leadership training, coaching, and consulting business in 2005. And I have helped many clients deal with this question of how to lead, how to manage, how to learn how to manage without burning out. And believe me, I've had plenty of opportunities myself to develop resilience over the course of my corporate career and my consulting business. Resilience is the ability to engage effectively with whatever happens without getting overwhelmed, lost, or, let's be real here, feeling so frustrated, angry, or frightened that you can't make decisions and you end up stuck. So let's start by facing the cold, hard reality that there will always be unexpected challenges. If you're feeling like this is something new because you're just getting into this, it will always be a fact of life and certainly a fact of work. Things happen that you didn't anticipate. Some of those are going to be good things, and some of those are going to be not so good things. And speaking of reality, the first thing you need to do to build this sense of resilience or this capacity for resilience is to not argue with reality. Something has happened. Something bad has happened. It's a done deal. It happened. You can't go back and change it. So struggling with thoughts about how it shouldn't have happened is, well, kind of like saying it shouldn't be raining when it's raining so hard the gutters are overflowing. Instead, get out of the rain so you can figure out what to do next. You're just wasting energy when you look for what should have happened instead of looking at the reality of this thing that you're now having to deal with. So what do I mean by get out of the rain? Well, it's another thing not to do. You can argue with that reality. You can look to the past and say, it shouldn't be the way it is. As I've just said, that's not helpful. And there's another thing not to do. It's what's called future tripping. Future tripping is when you start imagining all the awful things that could happen because of whatever's just come up. You get so wrapped up in catastrophizing, making everything seem like it's a total catastrophe, that you stop looking for the choices you can make that will bring you closer to solving the problem. So stop worrying about what could happen, start considering what is happening and what you can do about it. Future tripping makes you freeze in place, and that is not helpful, to say the least. So, question for you. Have you ever done that? Okay, silly question, because I think we've all done this at some point or another, whether in our personal life or in our career. So go ahead and leave me a comment about how that's happened for you, future tripping or arguing with reality. You can just say, yep, if you don't want to confess, but if there's a future trip you often take or a favorite argument with reality, let us know in the comments. So what can you do when you start to feel frozen or stuck? Well, you can think about how you've solved problems in the past, because what happens when we start future tripping or arguing with reality is that we often get into a place where we feel like we don't know how to solve this problem. And what I'm about to suggest is useful to do as part of a personal resilience training plan. And what I mean by that is that there are things you can do when there isn't anything demanding your immediate attention that will help you be more prepared and more resilient when something does happen. So here's how this works. Take out a piece of paper, write a list of problems that you've solved in the past. They can be any size, big ones, small ones, medium size. The point is you solved them. Now, here's a funny thing that is likely to happen when you do this. You may actually find it hard to think of any. Why? Because once a problem is solved, it's, hello, Captain Obvious, not a problem anymore. So you might have a hard time coming up with a list. Persevere, because there are problems. I know there are problems you've solved in the past. You wouldn't be here if there weren't. And the important thing here is that you're reminding yourself, you're reminding your catastrophizing, future tripping brain that you do know how to solve problems and that you have solved really important big problems in the past. By creating the list, you now have evidence of this. And once you have your list, make a few notes under each problem about how you went about solving it. Did you ask for help? Did you do research? Did you make a pro and con list of options? Did you delegate action items to your team? And so on. And then keep this list handy so you can remind yourself the next time you feel blindsided by an unexpected challenge. You can remind yourself that you do know how to solve problems, and you can remind yourself of some of the tools that you've used in the past to solve problems. Okay, finally, resilience is a really big topic. We're just skipping over the surface here, but there's something really important that I want you to remember. And that is that there are basically three things in this world. There are things we have complete control over. There are things we have no control over. And then there are things that we have some influence over. And in your journey to develop resilience, keep this in mind. Learn to quickly evaluate what you're dealing with. If it's something you have control over, yay, go for it. Problem solved. If it's something you have influence over, figure out your best options for wielding that influence. And if it's something you have no control or influence over, let it go. Don't try to beat it into submission, because that's essentially an argument with reality. Instead, find a way around it, because without either control or influence, it's one of those reality things that aren't worth arguing with. And remember this, resilience is a journey, not a destination. You can always develop more resilience, and making it a practice to stay focused on the things that you can control or influence without wandering into future tripping will help you in any situation, from small problems to large ones, and will be a key skill for your career as you advance up the leadership ladder. Okay, that's it on resilience. Please comment below with what you found most useful. And as always, let me know if you have a question. I do come back and look at comments and answer questions. If you liked this video, if you found it useful, you know what to do. Thumbs up, click the thumbs up like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share it with your colleagues, and go forth and meet your challenges with resilience. Take care.